Alrighty guys, it is Qaaman here today, and I'm bringing you another weekly Q&A as I answer your questions as I always do every week. So the first question comes in from Lord Frieza, who wants to know, not a question, just letting you know who's at the top of the pecking order. Hi to everyone in the video. Okay, Lord Frieza, we see you, man. We see you, Lord Frieza. Mike Warren wants to know, do you eat any food with chopsticks, or do you have post-traumatic stress disorder when Piccolo gets his ass handed to him? Mike, you can go fuck yourself and eat yourself alive. And the next question comes from Duct Tape. Do you still think the Heat is a good team? They lost to the 76ers. They did not lose to the 76ers, so go get your fucking facts straight. Piccolo gets beaten by chopsticks. King Piccolo is trapped in a rice cooker. It seems Namekian's weakness is kitchen items. Go fuck yourself, bro. JRZ saying wants to know, would you ever make love to a walrus? No. These are some funny questions. Look, Duct Tape is just going at it, man. Well, I'm not answering his questions anymore. He's just being a troll. Qaaman, why is Piccolo so weak? Is this like the Piccolo hate Q&A, man? Come on, guys. Michael wants to know, what is your favorite anime arc? I actually answered this in, I think, 2 or 3 Q&As ago. My favorite anime arc of all the anime I've seen would probably have to be the Android arc, because that's when I really became a big fan of Gohan, as Gohan was originally my favorite character. So I'm gonna have to say the Android arc because of all the heights that it just showed. It's just so memorable in so many ways. Goku dies, Trunks dies, Gohan kills Cell. Why didn't Goku and Bulma ever get married? After all, they were the 2 principal characters of Dragon Ball. I mean, they weren't supposed to get married. I mean, first of all, Bulma had something for Yamcha, so whenever I hear people saying why didn't Goku get with Bulma, it's not whether or not they were compatible. This might be my future question, because I think people should hear this. Goku and Bulma were not meant to be together. You know, they were friends, and although Goku, you know, married Chi-Chi because of the whole oath he gave her when he was a kid, you know, when they were on the Nimbus Cloud, it still is a testament that Goku didn't even know what marriage was. Goku was completely new to that whole concept. So Goku wasn't supposed to marry Bulma, and Bulma had feelings for Yamcha. So it's not like, you know, Goku had anything towards him. And Bulma, although she found him attractive in the 23rd tournament, she never really expressed any signs of liking Goku in that way. So they just weren't meant to get married, even if they were the 2 principal characters. Super Saiyan Forever wants to know, what do you think about the rumor of Future Trunks returning for the next arc? Honestly, man, like, I think all of this stuff is fun, and, you know, everybody's doing videos on it. I personally haven't. I don't mind being a guest, but there's really not much I have to say, because the honest truth is I really don't know much to say, because, I mean, even though it's most likely going to be Future Trunks, and there's a lot of hints, I just don't think there's enough that I could really discuss until I figure out how Trunks is even going to be involved in the arc. Bernardo Paez wants to know, do you think at this point Toei should just rewrite the ending of Dragon Ball due to nothing in Dragon Ball Super being in Dragon Ball 10 Years of Peace? I mean, there was like this one small line in the actual Dragon Ball Z manga and in the anime when Bulma and Vegeta show up when Goku was training with Goten. And she's like, I haven't seen you in 5 years. And considering the point at which Bulla or Bra and Pan, you know, and, you know, you're also factoring in, you know, all of the things that took place with that whole time sequence, it's completely off from what Dragon Ball Super is implying. So they've kind of already just winged that whole 10-year gap anyways. They're not being accurate with the facts. So in some ways, I think they're already doing that. Why is Grey Boo stronger than Fat Boo if Fat Boo has the Kais inside of him? Well, the Grey Boo, I've always looked at it, and there's no direct answer, but I've always theorized that he's like the complete amalgamation of Kid Boo's essence. Even though he's not technically Kid Boo, he's Kid Boo's essence, because he's the evil manifestation that was inside of Boo the entire time. And that's why I personally felt that Grey Boo was stronger than Fat Boo. That's just my theory. There's no answer to it, but that's how I look at it. Who's your celebrity crush, and would you marry her? Man, my celebrity crush, I would probably pick Beyonce a few years ago. Yeah, I think I'd probably go with Beyonce. She has a beautiful voice. Who do you think is the best Walking Dead villain so far, not counting Negan, since we've seen so little of him? I mean, I've read the comic books, so if you're asking me from just a show, or are you asking me from the comics? Because if you're asking me from the comics, I would have to say Negan. if you're asking me from the show, I would have to go with the governor if you're not letting me count Negan, because in essence, I mean, unless you want to count Shane as a villain, what villains have we really seen in The Walking Dead outside of the governor and Negan so far? I mean, there really haven't been any individual primary antagonists. I guess you could count, you know, the cannibals from Terminus, but I mean, even so, they weren't really bad. Like, there wasn't like one really true ultra bad guy. There were like a group of bad guys, so I'm gonna have to go with the governor by default. Where do you think Whiteside is going? I think it all depends. If the Heat can get their hands on like a big like name free agent, I think that you either ease Whiteside out of the door or have somebody take a pay cut. But if not, I think we're gonna have to sign Whiteside. What's your favorite anime other than Dragon Ball Z and Yu Yu Hakusho? One Punch Man, easily, even though I just finished recently watching it. And pick a Bulma, like at what point in the series and what outfit? I would have to say the Bulma like right after, you know, the whole thing that happened on Namek when they were like talking to Porunga and stuff. I would probably have to pick that Bulma. I thought she was the best one. And what's the most disappointing part of Dragon Ball? The most disappointing part of Dragon Ball, if I'm gonna just pick Dragon Ball, I would have to say when they brought Mercenary Tao back in the 23rd tournament. I thought that was completely cheap because it was clearly obvious that they wrote him to be dead, but then he somehow mysteriously comes back. Alright, and to take these last two questions, what would you rather fight? 1 horse-sized Hercule or 10 chicken-sized Hercules? I'll take 10 chicken-sized Hercules. And this last one is, do you think the Warriors this year are better than the 95-96 Bulls? I think if you go by today's rules, I think the Warriors would have an edge because the Bulls wouldn't be able to get physical with them. Steph Curry and Klay Thompson could be shooting 30 and 40 footers, and I think that would really give the Bulls a lot of problems because they never really played teams that could shoot like that. If you go back to the 90s and you let the Warriors play with the Bulls rules where size made more of a difference and people could get a lot more physical with you, I would say the Bulls would have a significant advantage, and Steph Curry's not going to get that many shots off without being worn down or somebody hurting him. So I would say it completely depends on which rules that you take, and here we go to Ask FM in 1 second. Alrighty, so we are back to Ask FM right here, and let's go through some of these questions. So the first question is, if reincarnation is real, what animal would you come back as? Whew. I would probably, I mean, if I could live to adulthood, I'd probably pick either a turtle or like an eagle, because turtles have extremely long lives and they're intelligent animals, and for birds they can fly, so if a predator ever wanted to get me, I would just fly away. I think birds have the best defense mechanism because the only body who could really stop them is other birds, because when things get rough they fly. A bird would have no problem in a zombie apocalypse. Alright, what is Kobe's power level? It's an interesting question. I would probably have to say maybe 10 to 15. If a farmer's a 5, Kobe's much stronger, much faster, much more athletic than the average human, even at 37. So I would probably have to say Kobe has to at least be twice as strong, almost maybe 3 times as strong as the average human because of his physical conditioning. I saw your Twitter post and I wanted to ask, when was the last time you thought Master Roshi did something meaningful? Yeah, well, I guess this guy's taking a reference to, you know, the whole discussion I was having with Xeon and, you know, Danny, or Emperor Big Deal about it. And we were basically talking about, you know, when was the last time we thought Roshi was, like, relevant to Dragon Ball. And honestly, if you think about it, the last time Roshi was relevant was during the King Piccolo arc, because his death basically forced, you know, from what Mike from Laughing Suck Media pointed out, his death caused Goku to go train with Kami, which ultimately came back to helping him defeat Piccolo Jr., you know, a few years after. So I mean, really, that was relevant, and Roshi at least attempted something that could have possibly have stopped the main villain. So I would say the point where Roshi, you know, had his little, you know, conflict with King Piccolo, I think was the last time he was relevant. Hey Qaaman, did you see Kobe's last game? If so, what are your thoughts? I actually did, and I actually uploaded a video about this. So yeah, I saw Kobe's last game, and I was very surprised when I was watching, you know, the majority of it, that he was able to do that. I mean, yeah, he took 50 shots, but that was still incredible at 37. Do you think the Ox King is really King Yama, but a human avatar like the movie Avatar? No. King Yama is a god, literally. He's like the Japanese deity of like a god who, you know, basically judges, you know, the people who go into the afterlife. So King Yama is not like that. What if Chi-Chi married Roshi inside GT? Well, I'm sure Roshi would have a lot of fun at nights. If Oolong shifted into someone like Piccolo or Goku, do you think in those 5 minutes he would have their power level 2? No. His shape-shifting doesn't make you stronger, as we've seen in Dragon Ball. That's why when he was shape-shifting, he would have like a hard time like carrying people, because he wasn't that strong naturally. He just did that as like a flaunting show, as we saw when Oolong first showed off. Girls don't have dicks, I'm pretty aware of that. And for my final 2 questions, I'll take these last 3. In the first episode of the Japanese dub of Dragon Ball, Bulma says someone once used the Dragon Balls to become king. Do you think it was the Ox King? No. It was implied that that king was King Furry, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure that it was implied that it was King Furry. I don't remember that exact detail off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was implied that it was King Furry who actually used the Dragon Balls, or at least it's theorized. Does it not get boring living in Antarctica? I mean, honestly, man, it's quiet, it's peaceful, nobody really bothers me. You know, I mean, the internet's not that good, but I mean, besides that, it's a unique experience. Most people wouldn't like it. Most people would consider it boring, but I'm a quiet guy who is pretty reserved and I keep to myself, so it really honestly doesn't make that much of a difference to me, you know, living in Antarctica for at least stretches of my life. What kind of books do you like to read? I like reading a lot of military history books. That's my favorite type. If you ever get rich, will you do meetups with fans in other parts of the world like the UK, Australia? I mean, I'm not really that type of guy who goes to conventions, but I mean, if somebody really wanted me to go, maybe. I mean, there's this one convention I'm planning on going to in the future. I'm not 100% sure if I can go, but if I do, maybe, sure. I mean, why not? I don't think many people would even recognize me anyways. And look at these last 2 questions. I just have to take these. Who's more handsome, you or Geekdom? I think that's a subjective question. If you like dark chocolate, I think you would probably go with me. If you like light chocolate with blonde hair and blue eyes, you'd probably like Geekdom. And who is smarter, you or Black and Fist? It depends. I'm not going to answer this question. Black and Fist has me in certain areas. I have him on some. And the last thing is, I'm better than you. I hope you are. So that's pretty much been my Q&A for today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this Ask FM segment, and also if you enjoyed my Twitter segment. And I also am curious to hear your thoughts on what you think Kobe Bryant's power level is in the comment section below. So most importantly, over everything else, please remember to rate, comment, and subscribe. And remember, as I always say, to have a great day, guys. And for today's hashtag of the day, it is Kobe's power level is blank, and the blank is what you think his power level actually is if he was in Dragon Ball Z.